Hey everybody, back for another day of my 30-day challenge. I think today is day 17, but I'm just going to do a quick update today. So there was a article that came out about a partnership between Reddit and Google. So I think everybody's probably talking about it, but I just wanted to talk about it too. So basically, news came out that Google has partnered with Reddit. They're spending about $60 million a year to get basically get API access to Reddit's data and train AI models on it. And there's a couple of things that are kind of weird about this, right? So for the past few months, Google has just been driving Reddit's traffic up like crazy. It's just showing up everywhere in the search results. So I think it's getting like 5 or 6 times the traffic it used to get. Google is just promoting it very heavily, and Reddit's heading towards an IPO, and Google's kind of like pumping Reddit up. It's just kind of interesting. And then they come out with this deal saying that they're going to train AI models on Reddit's data. And also, this deal comes out about a month after, if I'm not mistaken, a month after the antitrust hearings that Google was involved in have closed. I haven't been following them that closely. I don't think there's been like a decision made in that case, but they definitely saved it until after the hearing was done and then announced it. So that was kind of quite funny too. And then the one thing is like that I tend to think about is like, who on earth would want to train an AI model on Reddit's data? I don't know. Like, I used to be a really big fan of Reddit about like a decade ago. It was really, so back then it was like, Dig was a big popular site. I was a big fan of Dig. It kind of collapsed and I moved over to Reddit, and Reddit was like really cool 10 years ago. I absolutely cannot stand it now. I don't know why. I think the comments are very toxic, and I also think that all of the product review stuff that's showing up in Google is just being taken over by spam. So I'm kind of questioning what really is the value that Google is getting for $60 million from Reddit data. They're going to create like a flame bot or something, right? Where you can just argue with it. I don't really know, because that's what happens in the comments on Reddit. Another thing that reminds me of is Microsoft released a bot called Tay. I think it was a few years ago. And if I remember correctly, it was training based on feedback from Twitter. And if I also remember correctly, I think it turned into a Nazi in about 2 hours. So I could definitely see a Google LLM trained on Reddit data kind of going down that same road. So I thought it was kind of comical. I also just don't really know what Google is doing with their AI strategy. They probably had like the biggest advantage and most capable engineers going into this, and then OpenAI came out of nowhere and just like destroyed everybody, and Google's playing catch up. Even their like image model they recently released, their new Gemini model, they built in some things to try to make the models more diverse, because a lot of times models aren't that diverse, but they kind of went too far to the point where it's like, I don't want to get like political, but like if you ask it to generate a picture of like a Nazi, it like will generate like a black dude in a Nazi uniform, which was not a thing. So like, things like that, where it's like they tried to build in inclusivity, which I understand, but it kind of like overdid it to where like, even if you ask like a founding father, it'll have like people that don't look like the founding fathers of the United States looked. So I don't really know what they're doing with their AI tech, but seems like they're struggling quite a bit. And I've been kind of talking about this for like probably a few months now, that I think they're in a very bad position with their AI offerings, with their search results, and they're trying to battle AI generated content and how to index that or not index that, and how to serve it in search results. One approach they took was boosting user generated content like Reddit, which led to Reddit getting taken over by spam. Then they are also not indexing things quite as frequently, from what I can tell. There's a lot of people complaining that their news articles are not being indexed. There's a lot of pages getting de-indexed, because it's just like there's a massive amount of new AI content coming out. I don't think they can handle the scale of content and actually index everything. But it also doesn't really make sense to index it if it's low quality content, or if they deem it low quality content. But I think they're having problems with their classifiers. I also think the results are just, I don't know. I mean, coming from my standpoint as an SEO, I want to see the results a certain way, so I'm biased. But I'm seeing outside groups commenting on how bad the search results have been lately. So I think they're heading in the wrong direction. But the PR people at Google seem to be ignoring it. They have a couple people on Twitter that respond to SEO related queries. They seem to be on the course that everything's fine and dandy. They're going to stick the course, and they're not going to reverse any updates or anything like that. But yeah, it's interesting because they're facing all these challenges, and they're facing challenges from another end too, right? They're facing the OpenAI challenges. They're facing the open source type models like Llama and stuff like that, and all these small AI competitors, and even like Perplexity.ai, which is personally my favorite search engine at the moment, which is like an LLM driven RAG, retrieval augmented generation type of search. And I really find it way better than Google for question and answer. And I tend to go to it more. And even like Bing is like really, Microsoft's just been like killing it lately with their AI offerings. So I honestly think that Bing might even be getting better than Google. It just has a branding problem, and Google still has that. They have the brand, and then they have all these partnerships with like to be the default search engine, which is basically going to keep them alive for a long time. But I really think they're struggling with their AI strategy, and their leadership just doesn't really know what to do in this case. So I don't want to like be too negative about it, but it's really interesting to see kind of like how they're struggling on multiple fronts with AI. And then they announced this partnership with Reddit, which in my opinion gives them low quality data to train their AI models on, which I don't see as a route for success, but that's just one person's opinion. I am, maybe I'm not qualified to have an opinion about it. I've been working in AI for, I don't know, 6 or 8 years, back when IBM called it Watson when it first announced it. So I have some kind of understanding of the industry. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe you can tell me in the comments, but that's what I wanted to talk about today is just this. It's funny because Google tends to say like, SEOs are like unethical. One comment from one of their spokespersons was that, these niche sites are built just to make money, and he doesn't want to send traffic to anybody who's just trying to make money. And then they turn around and send traffic to Forbes and all these like CNETs and all these big brands. They literally exist just to make money. So I don't understand what they're talking about. It's kind of like, I don't know what they're saying. It just doesn't make any sense. All of these websites exist to make money. There's no difference if you're a small publisher or a large publisher, but they just favor large publishers and Reddit and Quora, which is even worse in my opinion. But yeah, that's all I'm going to talk about today. I will be back tomorrow with maybe some kind of update or some kind of see if I can come up with a tip for another tool or something like that for tomorrow.